So far all our scripts were printing output to the log, but the platform was designed not for that. Log is really just to test things out. The system actually has so-called inside tables, and later we'll show also inside charts. And you can create your own charts and your own tables. Today we'll try to create our own tables. So let's create a new script, lesson 4, and we'll go to help as usual because I never remember commands, and we'll go to the section about tables. So here are commands for the tables, and let's just start. Each table obviously has a name, so first if such table with such name existed, I want to delete it. So delete table, and let's call table let's do something very simple, like ABC table, and this is really alphabet, just to illustrate the point. Alphabet table will have letter A, letter B, letter C, and its order, like 1, 2, 3, and so on. And now we'll create a table. So there is in the help we have create table right there, and it has multiple parameters. So name, obviously, then size, x size, y size, so essentially number of columns and number of rows. Then the labels as comma separated list for both, and description, which can probably optional. So let's do that. Create table ABC, comma. So we'll do only 3 letters and 2 columns. So first we have our x number of things, so that would be columns, so 2, and then rows 3, and x names. So since we have 2 columns, the first one will be letter, order, and for the other one it will be A, B, C. So now description will be just empty. That's it, we created a table. So if you do create a table, it will be stored for like 24 hours and then expire, you will lose it. So if you want permanently store a table, you use store table, and then to load it into the system you use load table by the name. So you can store it for years if you want to. The most important methods to deal with tables is get table value and set table value, which takes the name of the table, x and y position, and the value. And the get table would get the value with x and y. So let's set the values. So set table value, the name ABC, then we have x position, y position, and the actual value. The one thing that you need to understand, that tables in this system are numeric, so the labels can obviously letters on x and y, but the actual cell values are numbers. It's similar to Excel. And let's the one thing to understand is that the x, the y and the x labels are letters and or words, but the actual cell values are numbers. So it's like an Excel sheet essentially you're creating. So we'll set the numeric value. Let me first see what happens. Like if I set this one to 1, let's say. So the y value, so the next one will be 2. Let's see what happens. Save and run. Okay, it executed. Let's go to inside tables. So here's our table ABC was created. So here are our labels A, B, and C name, and oh, I put it into letters, obviously. So it should be in order, the other one, right? So, oh, but the letters we cannot do it. We can only do numbers. So let's say this column will be order. So let's rename it to order. What kind of other alphabetical information can we put? What kind of numbers we can associate? I don't know really. If let's say if it is vowel sound, then it will be 0, and if it's a consonant sound, then it will be 1, right? So we can say is vowel, right? Something like that, and then order is fine. So let me set the last one, 2, 3, and then we'll set also is vowel or not. So by default the values are 0. So for this one and this one it will be 0, and for this one will be 1, meaning it's a vowel sound, right? That means 0, 0 position in the cell, and we set it to 1. Run. Alright, refresh. Oh, I did something wrong. 1, 3, I forgot when I copied, probably to update the index here. 2, 0, 1, 2. And here I need to, of course, move to X, so this will be the column, the next column, this column. Run. Refresh. Okay, here we go. Order 1, 2, 3 for ABC is vowel. Yes, this one is vowel, and the rest is 0. So that's your most primitive table, and this is how you can create. So now this table will disappear automatically after about 24 hours. If you want to store it, you will need to call here store table, and you would need to provide the name ABC, and it will be stored permanently. So that's kind of useless table, right? So let's do something else. Let's create a useful table for revenue by industry, right? So how we can do it is following. So first of all, revenue by industry. This is the new table we are creating, and we'll accumulate how much revenue each industry had, right? And we can then put it in a table. Let me just delete all this for now. Before we create a table, we need to know how many industries we have. So let's wait with that as well. First, let's gather all the data first. So we'll create a new variable called revenues, and it's a type table or array. Then we'll, like in all previous scripts, we'll go through each ticker. So we need to get the ticker number. So that would be get ticker count, and we'll need to do the for loop. So this is how we did previous scripts, right? Let me just quickly, and again, print ln we can use for testing. If everything goes fine, I always do it on each step of writing code. So let's see. Yeah, we got all our tickers as usual. So we are not interested in tickers themselves, but in actual industry. And for that we'll use a command company get company property string type, which is like text type, ticker, and we'll get the name industry, right? And we'll get it in a local variable again. Now when we have industry, we'll store it in this revenues by industry. So we'll do revenues. So first of all, we need to check if this already exists, this record for this industry was already created. If you remember, the table or array type of variables, they like mailboxes. So with this code I check if revenues has a mailbox for that specific industry that was extracted from a current ticker in this for loop, right? By the way, I like to also comment ends, like end for loop. So if revenues equals empty string, then we'll actually create a new record. And for that we'll like say revenue equals 0. So initially the revenue for this industry will be 0, right? Then we can extract the actual revenue of this specific company. So we use get xbrl latest, and then we use the ticker as first parameter, segment which is always empty string second parameter, and then value name revenue. So that's revenue for our current company. And for the industry we need to add it up, right? So that would look like this: revenue from extracted from the industry plus this company revenue. So when this code finishes going through every company, this revenues table will have revenues accumulated for each industry. That's what we'll get from this, right? So cool. Let me save that and run. Oh, there is an error. Line 13. Oh, probably not empty string, but nil actually. Here we go. So now when we have that, we can extract the actual size of this table to know how many industries we have, right? So let's go and see the helper function. It's gonna be in the section of other, I think. Table length is the function name. So let's actually print it out. So we'll print how many industries we have. And we have 193 industries. Right, so now we can actually create a table because we have the information. So create table, first the name, revenue by industry, then number of essentially columns, and in this case we'll have industry, which is just a label, and then column, which is revenue. So only one actual column, and the other one is just labels. And y number of records would be the same as this one. Then the next parameter is x name, which is a column name, and we have only one column, we'll call it revenue. And then the labels for the y should be the industry names as a comma list. Now we don't have that, so let's actually create a new list here. So initially it will be just an empty string, and we can actually do that here. Remember, we have an if statement where we first create the new industry, so we can just append the industry to the industry string like so. Industries and equal industries plus comma new industry, right? And the only thing here is we'll have one for front comma, but I think it might not be an issue. Well, let's still do that. We'll put one more if, and if industries is empty, then we will just assign industry. Else we will do this. I think it makes sense, right? So now we should have our things here as well, and we don't fill in data yet. We'll just see if the table looks good. Okay, let's go here, refresh, and we have our new table, and it looks like our industries are there, all the industries, and revenue currently 0 because we didn't set that yet. So let's do the final step. We'll now go through every record in our revenues for that's fine. Key value in pairs. If you remember that function from previous lesson, pairs industries, that's how we go through this variable. Okay, so here we should have our values, and we'll just do, well, first let's print it. I really want to see what is the key and what is the value, just to not make any mistakes. Okay, we have some mistake here. Oh, I used wrong variable. I should have used revenues, of course. The error message was very helpful. Okay, so we have key is the industry name, and the value is actual accumulated revenue for the industry. So we will now, instead of printing, we'll actually set the value in the table. Set table value, and takes table name, column name, which is always first column, and the row number. And in this case we lack that, so we need one more thing here. 0, and we'll increment this here, row number, and the final thing is the actual value, and that's where we'll get revenues key. That should give us that revenue. Run. Well, let's refresh. And here you go, you got your revenues. Oh, it actually tries to look up. So you got your revenues and your industries here. So that's it, that's your tables. You can also order, so alphabetically, and insurance seems to be very rich, isn't it? And that's how you create tables. Thank you.